He thought he could shove my friend, humiliate her, and walk away without consequences. But what he didn't know was that I had the power to completely erase his future. And on the very last day possible, I pulled the trigger. This is a story of how I destroyed a toxic abuser's education, and possibly his entire life. If you've ever dreamed of putting a bully in their place, or serving justice to someone who thought they could get away with hurting people, hit that like button right now, subscribe, and buckle up, because this revenge story, it's one of the most satisfying you'll ever hear. Back in what I like to call the before times, when the internet still felt like the Wild West, I was a student at my local junior college. Life was good. I just moved in with my girlfriend, Lucy. We were broke, sure, but splitting rent made things easier, and we were excited about building a life together. One evening, Lucy mentioned she'd invited a classmate over for a game night. I didn't think much of it until the door opened, and in walked someone I recognized, Sarah. We'd gone to high school together. Not close friends, but enough history that it felt familiar, even comfortable. From that night on, Sarah became part of our little circle. She'd come by for dinner, movies, game nights, you name it. She was fun, warm, and quickly felt like family. She also occasionally brought her boyfriend, Jay. And let me tell you, Jay stuck out like a sore thumb. While the rest of us laughed, played, and connected, he sat in the corner like he'd been dragged against his will. Quiet, cold, almost resentful. We tolerated him for Sarah's sake, but no one liked having him around. Luckily, he barely came. Then one night, everything changed. My phone buzzed. It was Lucy, her voice urgent. Sarah's coming over. She's upset. When Sarah arrived, her face was streaked with tears. My gut twisted before she even said a word. Through sobs, she explained, Jay had accused her of cheating of all things. With who? Me? Lucy? Both of us? It didn't matter. The accusation was absurd. But instead of just arguing, he escalated. He called her horrible names, screamed at her, tore her down. And when she tried to leave, he shoved her. She tripped, crashing into a coffee table, leaving a massive bruise on her back. Lucy told me later how bad it looked when Sarah showed her. Sarah insisted he'd never been physical before. She tried to excuse it. But me? My blood was boiling. My hands were shaking. My jaw was locked so tight it hurt. I'm not a fighter. Never been in one. But that night, all I wanted was to put Jay through a wall. Still, violence wasn't me. But revenge? Oh, I could work with that. I couldn't stop replaying it in my head. Sarah crying, her bruise, the shame in her voice as she tried to defend the indefensible. That's when I remembered something. At the time, I worked in the college administration office. My job gave me access, full access, to student records, class schedules, ID numbers, the keys to someone's academic life. And Jay, he was a student here too. That night, I made a decision. If Jay thought he could put his hands on someone I cared about, then I was going to take away the one thing he needed most. There was one day left before the final drop/add deadline. One day when schedules could still be changed. After that, everything was locked. I waited until my shift, heart pounding the whole time. Every keystroke felt like it echoed. Sweat clung to my neck. But I pushed forward. I pulled up Jay's file. His student ID stared back at me, almost daring me to go through with it. And I did. One by one, I dropped every single class he was enrolled in. His entire semester? Gone. But I didn't stop there. Oh no. I went back in and added every random class I could find, each one with hefty course fees attached. Music classes with instrument rentals. Science labs with expensive materials. Anything that would rack up debt. Why stop at inconvenience when I could make it devastating? Here's the kicker. Jay wasn't just any student. He was an international student. And international students? They need a minimum number of enrolled units to legally stay in the country. Drop below that, and you risk deportation. That realization hit me like a spark. Not only was I ruining his semester, I might have just ruined his entire stay here. Did I feel guilty? For about half a second. Then I pictured Sarah, clutching her bruise, begging us for safety. And any guilt turned into satisfaction. I couldn't exactly check back without raising suspicion, so I waited. But just a week later, Sarah gave me the first piece of delicious fallout. She and Jay had shared an English class. She dreaded walking in, scared he'd confront her. But when she arrived, something was off. The room was full, and there was even a new student forced to stand because there weren't enough chairs. The professor paused, confused, and decided to take roll. And guess whose name wasn't on the list? That's right, Jay. When the professor called him out, Jay actually tried to argue. I'm in this class. Check again. But the roster was official, and his name wasn't there. He was invisible. Gone. Sarah said he looked furious, humiliated. But rules are rules. Without being on that roster, he couldn't stay. He gathered his stuff and stormed out. And that was the last time she ever saw him in that class. Eventually, I checked his records again. All those expensive classes I dumped him into vanished. But here's the thing. So were all his regular classes. Nothing. His schedule was empty. Did he re-enroll somewhere else? Did he get kicked out entirely? Was he forced to leave the country? I'll never know for sure. But one thing's certain. I knocked him off balance hard. He lost his grip on control, and Sarah never had to sit in a classroom with him again. And honestly, that was enough. Picture it. Jay standing in that classroom, confused, desperate, trying to argue with authority, and losing. That moment, the same arrogance he'd used to intimidate Sarah crumbled in front of everyone. He wanted control. He wanted power. Instead, he walked out humiliated, his future ripped away without even knowing who pulled the strings. Justice, served cold. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. But then I think about Sarah, the tears, the bruise, the fear. And I know one thing for sure. If protecting a friend means taking down a monster, I'd do it all over again. So what do you think? Was this revenge too harsh, or exactly what Jay deserved? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if the story gave you chills, smash that like button and subscribe. Because trust me, we got plenty more stories where justice hits harder than anyone expected.